What if I told you your skeleton isn't just a passive frame holding you up? What if it's actually an active, living electrical system? It sounds like something out of science fiction, right? But it's not. It's the biological reality that keeps you strong, and we're going to dive into how it all works. To really get why this matters, the source material we're looking at uses this pretty shocking phrase. It says that without understanding this internal electrical system, our bones literally risk dissolving into rusty hinges. It's a jarring image for sure, but man, does it frame why this is so important. So that brings us to the big question. How is it possible that a simple, everyday action, something you do thousands of times a day like taking a step, can create a literal electrical charge inside your own body? It sounds wild, but it's happening constantly, and it is the absolute key to your skeletal health. All right, so how on earth does this work? Well, it all starts with the signal itself, this incredible electrical message that's zipping through our bones. The fancy scientific name for this is piezo electricity, but here's all you really need to know. When your bones feel a physical impact, like your foot hitting the pavement when you walk, they generate a tiny but absolutely crucial electrical signal. It's this amazing built-in biological trick. And this sets off a perfect little chain reaction. It all starts with that impact. That impact creates the piezoelectric charge, that little spark. That charge acts like an alarm bell, a signal that gets picked up by very specific cells. And what do those cells do? They wake up and get to work, building new, stronger bone. It's just a beautiful, efficient system. Which, of course, leads to a really critical question. This whole amazing bone-building process depends entirely on that first electrical signal. So what happens to our skeleton if that signal gets weak? Or even worse, what if we're just not generating it at all? To answer that, we have to meet the heroes of this whole internal story. Let's take a look at the actual cells that are on the receiving end of that super important electrical signal. They're called osteoblasts, and honestly, the best way to think about them is as your body's own personal bone-building crew. They're just kind of hanging out dormant until they get that electrical work order. And as soon as they get it, bam, they spring into action, laying down new material to create what the source calls bone armor. So it all comes down to this. It's a tale of two skeletons, really. When your skeleton is charged from all those little impacts, that bone armor is constantly being reinforced. Your bones get strong, dense, and resilient. But an uncharged skeleton, one that isn't getting those signals, never triggers the osteoblasts. The construction stops, and the whole structure can weaken, becoming, just as the source describes it, a hollow shell. Okay, so we get the science. Now for the so what. How can we actually use this information to our advantage? Well, the source material lays out a framework for doing just that. It calls it the Skeletal Shield Protocol. At its core, the whole idea is to consciously, intentionally tap into your body's own built-in electrical system to make your bones stronger. It's all about working with your biology, not against it. So here's the game plan. The protocol is designed, first and foremost, to activate that piezoelectricity we talked about. That, in turn, signals your osteoblast crew to get to work and start building. And one of the really interesting takeaways here is that this whole approach is about fortifying bone without necessarily needing super heavy lifting, which presents a whole new way of thinking about skeletal strength. When you really boil it all down, the biggest takeaway from all of this is actually really empowering. Your actions, your movements, the impacts you create every single day, they're sending instructions to your body. You are, in a very, very real sense, the architect of your own skeleton. And that just leaves us with one last fascinating thought to chew on. If this incredible electrical system for building bones is running inside of us right now, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other hacks, what other amazing biological systems are hidden just under the surface, just waiting for us to understand them?